So, like, it won't be based on Democratic or Republican or communist, monarchy, parliamentary, or any other form of human government that's out there. Even anarchy, which we know that doesn't work, but none of them work. None of them work. If it's being run by a man or women, men, people, it's not going to work. Only Jehovah the Most High is going to run it with his son, the Hamashiach, the Messiah, Yeshua, Jesus. He will be the one that is appointed as king, and he will rule the earth, and his co-rulers will be there with him. So again, like I was saying before, some of the 12 tribes of Israel will be um, possibly be of related to the original uh, 12 tribes of Israel. But those who are part of the true 12 tribes of Israel today, it will not be based on your ancestry, your bloodline, your direct descendants. It's not going to be based on that. It's only going to be based on the fact that Jehovah chose whoever he wanted to choose. It's not up to us to choose if we're going to be part of the 12 tribes or we part of the great multitude. It's up to the Most High will choose. We are just happy to just gain life. Either way, we're going to gain life. But it's not up to us to choose if we're of the 12 tribes of Israel, the true 12 tribes, or we're of the great multitude. So with that in mind, let's continue on. Chapter 14 of Revelation and verses 1 through 3, it says, "And I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on the Mount Zion, and with him 144,000." That's 12,000 from each of the 12 tribes that we were talking about, right? Having his father's name written in their foreheads. So it says that they're with him in Mount Zion. And then notice here in verse 3, it says that no one could learn that song. Remember, they were singing a new song that we talked about. But the only ones who could sing that song were the 144,000. Look at his, which were redeemed from the earth. See, they are from the earth going up to be with Yeshua. He said, "I'm going away and I'm going to prepare a place for you." And this is in harmony with Daniel. Let's go over to Daniel. This is in harmony with Daniel. We were talking about this a minute ago in Daniel chapter 7, verses 9 through 18. And it says, "To him," or to the Son of Man, "was given rulership, honor, and a kingdom." And it says that his rulership is an indefinite, everlasting rulership that will not pass away. His kingdom will not be destroyed. So he has a kingdom. And then notice this in verse 18. "But the holy ones of the Supreme One will receive the kingdom, and they will possess the kingdom forever, yes, forever and ever." So you notice that the holy ones will receive the kingdom. So they, again, will be part of the 12 tribes of Israel that we talked about up in Mount Zion, the Lamb with him, 144,000. Those are the same ones that are mentioned about in Daniel. Let's continue on. So now we want to talk about who will live on the earth. Who will live on the earth? Well, let's go to that. Let's go to Revelation chapter 7 and here verse 9 that we talked about in the previous videos. Here it's talking about the different tribes: Asher, Naphtali, Manasseh, Simeon, Issachar, so on. But notice in verse 9 it says after this. After John saw the vision of the 12,000 from each tribe, he said, "After this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude, which no man could number." See, the other group, you could number them, 12,000 from each tribe. 12,000 times 12 equals 144,000. But this group, he says, "After this I beheld a great multitude, which no man could number." Look at here, "of all nations." Of all nations and kindreds and peoples and tongues stood before the throne, before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands. Then we drop down to verse 13. "And one of the elders answered, saying to me, what are these which are arrayed in white robes? And whence came they? Talking about this great multitude. He said unto him, Sir, thou knowest. And he said to me, he said to John, these are they which came out of great tribulation, and have washed their robes, made them white in the blood of the Lamb. So these great multitude, these are not ones that are going to be doomed for damnation, as some have said. These ones are going to gain life. They washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. This great multitude, which no man could number, out of all peoples and tribes and tongues, out of all nations. They're going to be coming out of the great tribulation. So what does that mean? Let's talk about that. All right, well, let's go to Matthew chapter 24 here. Let's drop on down here to verse, we're talking about this great tribulation. Okay. And it says here, this is talking about the gospel of the kingdom will be preached in all the world for a witness unto all the nations, and then the end shall come. Then shall the end come. Verse 15 says, when ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation, spoken of by Daniel the prophet, standing in the holy place, who with wreaths let him understand, then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. He's talking about on the housetop, not even coming down. Neither if you're out in the field, don't come back to get your clothes. Woe to them if they have children. They give suck in those days. Because he says here, verse 21, for then there shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, nor shall be. So, in fact, he says it will be so bad that no flesh would be saved, but for the elect's sake, the days will be shortened. So, we are talking about here now about the Roman armies, how they came onto Jerusalem, to the temple. And by the way, the temple has never been rebuilt to this day. So how would Yeshua rule on the earth where there's no temple that's been built? He will be in heaven, Mount Heavenly Zion. So but anyway, it talked about there be a great tribulation. Yeshua said that when you see the unclean thing standing in a holy place, he was talking about the Roman armies and how they would come into the temple area. And we know what happened in 70 AD or 70 CE. They came and they destroyed the temple. And that's what was a great tribulation then. But there's another great tribulation that's coming in the very near future. And that's the one where we want to be awake, spiritually awake. Because when they say peace and security, there's going to be another symbol of abomination, another wild beast that's going to be standing in the holy place. And we best be able to be ready for when that breaks out, brothers and sisters. So the Roman armies came, they destroyed the temple, and that was a tribulation in the first century. And that's what Yeshua is saying here in Matthew 24, that there's going to be great tribulation. And like he said, when you see the abomination of desolation standing in the holy place. So that's why we need to be ready today, because it's going to happen again. And that wild beast is going to come in upon them. So friends, we want to appreciate Abraham. Jehovah made a covenant with him. Remember that in the book Genesis? Well, let's talk about that. What was that covenant about that he gave him? Well, let's notice Genesis chapter 12, verses 1 through 3. It says, now the Lord has said unto Abram, get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred and from thy father's house unto a land that I will show thee. And I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. But notice in verse 3, and I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curseth thee, and in all thee shall all families of the earth be blessed. Let's read that again. And in thee, or in Abraham, through your seed, through Abraham's seed, shall all families of the earth be blessed. So again, that goes along with that great multitude. It will be of all kindreds and peoples and tongues standing before the throne and before the Lamb, that great multitude of all nations, of all kindreds and peoples and tongues. That is in harmony with the covenant that YEHUA had with Abraham, that through these shall all families of the earth be blessed. Okay, so are you following with me, friends? Now, YESHUA said something that many do not like, but we got to go into it because truth is truth. So notice what YESHUA said in Matthew chapter 21. Here through verse 42, Jesus said unto them, did ye never read in the scriptures, the stone which the builders rejected, the same has become the head of the corner. This is the Lord's doing, and it is marvelous in our eyes. He was talking to the Pharisees, the religious Jews at that day. Therefore I say unto you, the kingdom of God shall be taken from you and given to a nation bringing forth the fruits thereof. All right. But Psalm 37 says that the meek shall inherit the earth, and they shall live